Hello, this is Miss Steinbaugh, and I'm going to make a video here on how to do a watercolor wash and a watercolor graded wash. So some of the things you'll need to have, my camera can see them, is your watercolor paper, and I have mine taped down to a board that we have here in the art rooms, and you need a binder. So if you don't have a board, if you're at home, you might be able to tape yours down to the binder directly. The binder is really important because it puts your paper at an angle. You need gravity in order to do this. So gravity is your friend. It's the sticky paint. I have torn up my watercolor set in preparation for this. One of the things you need to do is get a whole lot of paint and a whole lot of water into whatever it is you're mixing in. I'm mixing in the lid. So I'm turning my watercolor set so I can scoop the purple out that I want, and I actually did a whole lot of that before I started the camera. And I'm going to add a little bit of water, and I want to see if it's going to drip. Nope. I want more water. I want it to drip. Maybe this is just a really good paintbrush. It's going to hold everything. There, I got a little bit of drip. And in preparation for the graded wash, I am getting some of the turquoisey blue ready. Sorry, some of you at home probably don't have this color. Don't think it's in the Crayola set. But we have this in the building, so if you want some, you can come get it. It is super pretty. So I'm sweeping. Like I'm using a broom and I'm just sweeping out as much color as I can get. I want to fill up that little well. Do not be stingy. Stingy means that you like to use teeny tiny little amounts of stuff. You need a lot. Oh, now my water. Oh, my water. Oh well. I'm going to swish my purple around and make it pretty. Actually, I'm going to put a little blue in there too. Okay. Perfect wash. I want to cover a great big area with one color, my pretty purple here. And I don't want any paintbrush strokes to show. And I'm not going to have any changes in color, and I'm not going to have any changes in value. How about that? You're going to have a perfect little rectangle. By the way, my rectangles, I freehanded them, because this is not about making ruler straight rectangles. This is about doing the watercolor wash. So I'm going to get a big scoop. I'm going to do this one. So you know, if I'm going to do this one, it's going to be easier if I turn, and I'm going to go that way. That's my top, and I'm going to work my way down. Big scoop. See how I keep messing around and getting like a great big scoop of this? I'm even going to tilt my board up a little bit more, holding it up in my hand, up on the point. Ooh, it's grape juice. And I'm going to put what's called a bead of water color. You'll hear watercolorists talk about the bead. Okay, got that going across the top. Now I'm going to get a great big scoop of paint and water. I'm going to start on one side, catch that watercolor bead, and zip across, come down a little bit, because I want to keep my edges neat and tidy. If I'm coloring like a side of a building or a barn, I want to have some control. So I'm using the tip to get that control. See my watercolor bead going all the way across. It's awesome. Reload. I'm reloading pretty much each time just to make sure I have enough, because I don't want that watercolor bead to dry out. If the watercolor bead dries out, you'll see a mark. As long as that watercolor bead is there, you're going to be in good shape. Draw down a little bit. We'll scoop. Okay. I'm using the biggest round pointy brush that our school has. I'm not using a whole lot of pressure. When I push down with the paintbrush, I'm like barely, like maybe the tip in a third of the paintbrush is actually touching the paper. I am more or less inviting the watercolor to slide down, and I'm using gravity to help my watercolor bead. It needs to be refilled. Sometimes you can zip across once or twice without having to refill it. All the way down. And because I have the light on close to it and the heat is on and all that stuff, it's starting to dry up here. Ideally, in the beginning when you're learning about watercolor washes, once you get that wash on there, you don't want to fuss with it. Put it on, leave it alone, let it be pretty. Now I'm kind of taking some of that watercolor bead off as I get close to the bottom, because I'm going to have to get rid of it anyway. So now I'm going to wipe off my paintbrush, get it nice and dry, suck up some of that color. Because if I let that watercolor bead sit on the bottom, as this paper dries and that stays wet, it will do what's called a bloom. The water will suck back up into the dry part, and it can make really nice effects if that's what you want, and it can be exactly what you don't want. But right now we're learning about some control. Okay, that is the watercolor wash.